So, if you're anything like me, you probably have a long list of ideas, projects, and dreams you want to bring to life. A book you want to write, a business idea you want to explore, maybe even a creative project you've been postponing for years. But here is where the challenge lies: time. We all have 24 hours a day, and it's never enough to get everything we want to do done. How do we juggle everything we want to do without burning ourselves out in the process? Today's conversation is all about mindful productivity and how to get meaningful work done without sacrificing your energy and your well-being. Welcome to the Minute Mastery Podcast, a conversational productivity and time management podcast where busy authors and entrepreneurs are inspired to create time for what truly matters. I'm your host, Ngozi Edema. I'm a time management coach, writer, and entrepreneur. Here, you are encouraged to turn your minutes into milestones and to create at least 1 hour a day working on your goals without feeling overwhelmed. And since you are here, I thought I'd let you know of a storybook to gift your favorite kids. Once upon a time, and they lived happily ever after. Children love those phrases. I love them too, and I suspect you may love them too. As a mom, I've spent hours reading and listening to my children read their favorite stories, and now I write stories too. Here is one of them you may want to check out: The Proud Sunflower. It is the story of Princess Sanzu, the Sunflower Princess, a princess loved by all, but who got into trouble. Within the pages of The Proud Sunflower, you encounter what real beauty is. Your kid will love the beautiful story and powerful illustrations. The Proud Sunflower serves as a gentle reminder that we all need to stand on the shoulders of others to succeed. So, read this story with your little ones and allow it to illuminate the universal language of empathy, forgiveness, and personal growth. The Proud Sunflower is a top book of parenting, morals, and responsibility, and it's available on the Kindle store and on paperback formats. Excellent for beginner readers. Click in this episode show notes or in the description on YouTube to order yours. And check out my other storybooks to read with your kids, or gift a child a storybook if you do not have kids of your own. My guest is Emily Guerra, and we are talking about mindful productivity and transformative time management for creative professionals. As someone passionate about early childhood learning and helping women 40 plus to write their first children's book, I know how important this topic is. Time is our most valuable resource, and I am committed to helping women use it intentionally so that they can create what they love without burning themselves out. My guest is Emily, a productivity life coach and entrepreneur and founder of the Productivity Flow. You're welcome to the Minute Mastery Show, Emily.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here and chat with you today.
Thank you. And I take this conversation personal because
Yeah.
I have experienced burnouts, and I don't wish it on anyone else.
Oh no, not on my worst enemy, honestly, right?
But at the same time, it doesn't take much to become completely full, having our plate completely full. Before we know it, we've taken on too many projects, too many responsibilities, and suddenly we find ourselves overwhelmed and heading towards burnout.
Yeah.
Especially creative people, they often have more ideas than time. And learning how to manage that in a healthy way is incredibly important for our well-being.
Yes.
So you promote mindful productivity.
I do.
What does that mean?
Well, I love that we're starting here because this is honestly where I start with all my coaching and like all my workshops and speaking. And this is the foundation, right? And so the way I look at mindful productivity is really reframing and kind of spitting productivity on its head. If we think about what it means to be productive, like when I say the phrase be productive, what kind of words come up for you? Is it like action, to-do list, checklist, doing more in less time? It's really all about doing, 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 right? And there's no sense of even how to do it, how to be productively, right? And if you even look at the definition in like the dictionary of being productive and what that actually means, it literally just means doing a lot. According to the dictionary, that's all it means. Yet, I think we've all experienced this. We can do a lot of the wrong thing, right? I mean, how many times have we felt like we are so busy all day long, and then at the end of the day, we look back at our day and we're like, what did I even do today? Like, I didn't actually move anything forward. So, does doing a lot really capture what being productive is? I don't think so. And I think that that definition actually runs us into the ground. And it forces this idea that we have to constantly be hustling and be busy in order to be successful. And that's just not the way that our brain works. It's not the way our body works. And it's not the way reality works, right? Yet it's this expectation that we all have for ourselves and each other. And so mindful productivity really flips that on its head. And it's saying, maybe I don't actually have to do more to be productive, but maybe I just need to make progress to be productive. And maybe I just need to make progress in the things that truly matter, that truly move the needle forward or pay the bills or bring a smile to my face and fill my cup, right? And so it's really about getting aligned with what you actually want to be productive in, not just busy, but truly move something forward, and doing so in a way that takes into account how your brain and your body naturally work. I am all about learning about neuroscience and mindfulness and really understanding the brain and body so that way our productivity hacks and our work from home and our work tricks work in our favor and not against us, because so often we are fighting against ourselves all day long. And we end up couch potatoes at the end of the day because we are just exhausted. And that's not how it's meant to be. So that's really how I like to look at mindful productivity, valuing progress over just doing more.
Thank you. A few weeks ago, I had a guest on this show, and she said productivity should be personal.
Yes.
You agree with that?
I absolutely agree with that. And that's actually something that I say all the time. Productivity is very personal because your workload, your work structure, the hours you work, where you work, when you work, everything about your work life is personal. And then everything about your personal life is personal. You are not a carbon copy of everyone else.
No.
And neither should your tricks. Neither should the way you go about your life, right? And so I think there's also this notion that we can only be productive at work or for projects or for work things. That's why I'm a productivity life coach, because I want to show that you can not just be productive at work, but you can also be productive at home. And in order to do that, you really do have to make it personal. You have to make it work in your own life. Adapt these tricks, adapt time blocking, adapt all of the things so that way it works for you, right? And it's just something that is truly what my coaching is, figuring out how to make productivity personal.
Thank you. Why I brought that question out
Yeah.
is I've heard people say, how are you able to manage everything that you do? Now you have mommy A doing so much work, and mommy B cannot meet up with mommy A. And
Mm-hmm.
mommy B is looking at mommy A and wondering, how come she gets to do all of that and I can't do that? What will you say to mommy B about looking at what mommy A is doing and wondering why she cannot do that? Because that is the life we live in now. You go on social media, you see people doing one thing and you're feeling miserable with yourself. Like, how come she's able to do it and I'm not able to do it? So do you have any advice for somebody like that?
Well, you sound like every single one of my coaching clients, honestly. So, and I think we are all stuck in this comparison trap, right? I mean, you just go, it's not even like on just social media anymore. Like if you even go to a networking event or you go work at a coffee shop, or like you are constantly surrounded by what other people are doing and why can't I do that? Right. And so something that I often remind my coaching clients is you are only seeing the best of the best. You're only seeing the highlight reels of their life. You're only seeing what they want you to see. And you're doing the same thing to them. You're only showing what you want them to see, right? So number one, let's just realize that. And let's kind of release a little bit of the pressure, because once you realize that you're also doing it, you can kind of pinpoint when other people are doing it,
Yeah,
right? So that's like one little hack that I always just constantly remind myself. And honestly, that my therapist often reminds me too, right? We all need these reminders.
we
So
do.
that's a little mindset piece of it, right? Now, secondarily, I will also say that they are typically working on probably many things, but they're probably focused on one major project. And that one major thing is probably what it you see, is what is forefront, right? And then you'll also see what they've done in the past. And so you kind of loop that all into one thing, when in reality, it's taken them a while. They're just only showing you the end product, right? And so they don't want to share all of the struggles that they've gone through, because that goes against what we think of being productive is,
Yes.
right? And so that's why they don't share it. And so taking that into account also, and then asking yourself, okay, what's my big thing then that I can, going back to what mindful productivity is, that I can actually make progress in? And not just be busy, but how can I make progress and move something forward? So I feel like I also have that same momentum. Because ultimately, that's what we're kind of jealous of, is other people's momentum. And we're only really get jealous of that when we feel stuck. And so that's a sign to kind of ask yourself, get reflective and figure out, okay, what is that one thing that brings a smile to my face, that gets me motivated and excited, that I want to work on, and that I will eventually share. And maybe I'll share my journey along the way, but eventually I'll share the final product, right? And feel almost matched to whatever else I'm seeing online. But that's not the goal. The goal is progress, right? So that reframe, I think, really, really matters, especially for us women, honestly.
Thank you. I'm so glad you brought all of these points out, because we all show what we want people to see.
Exactly.
I wouldn't show you the points, moments behind the scene where I broke down completely, broken and crying, just bawling all day. I didn't show you that bit.
Nope. That's not an Instagram video. That's not a LinkedIn post, right? But
So I hide that behind the scene, but it does happen
exactly.
to all of us, right? So we don't bring those out to people to see. Everybody is unique, and we should just celebrate our uniqueness.
Exactly. And especially as entrepreneurs, creative professionals, your uniqueness is your selling point. It
It,
is.
it is.
It
It is.
is the thing that you want to keep at the forefront. It's not something you want to hide, right?
No, no. So, what are some simple time management tools that creative professionals, creative women can start using right now to make them move forward? Because we're saying it's all about moving forward.
Yep. All about momentum, right? And so, one of the biggest reframes with time management that I find very foundational and very transformative is really understanding our focus on time. And because we're so focused on time, what are we ignoring? What are we dismissing? Right. And so I like to view time management as like a two-pronged approach. Number one, of course, time very much matters. I will never belittle or dismiss that. But at the same token and at the same value, our energy, right? How often have we said we are going to do an XYZ task or this big project at this time because that's when we have time for it in our day? And then we go and it's time to start it, and we just do not have the energy for it. And it's like, oh my God, I can't believe I have to do this right now. I have to force myself. Where's my willpower? Why am I not motivated? Like maybe this isn't the right project for me. And then all of a sudden we start to doubt ourselves. We start to procrastinate. We start to get all of these negative mindset hurdles that ultimately prevent progress and productivity. And so energy matters just as much as time management. I call it energy management very simply, right? And so looking at not just when you have available time, but also when you have available energy, right? And so something I do with my coaching clients, I have them actually have a little journal and literally track their energy over a 2-week period. And for women, I do strongly encourage over a month period, right? To work with our bodies. And so once we have some data about our energy rhythms, right? Science calls them chronotypes, but let's just say energy rhythms because that's really what they are. Once we learn, like, oh, I'm actually a big early bird. Like, I love the mornings. I wake up at 5 naturally. I'm wide awake. I do my workout. I am feeling motivated. I love watching the sunrise. Like, that's my time, right? And so if that's your time and you learn that about yourself, you can actually use that in your favor. And you can start scheduling and using that time for maybe really creative, heavy tasks that take up a lot of focus and energy. But let's say you're actually a night owl and the day in the morning, like you sleep all the way through the morning, it's not your thing. And the day is kind of about just like getting your life together a little bit, right? And then once it hits like maybe 5 p.m. ish or later, you're wide awake and you're super focused and you are ready to tackle things, then that is really when you should be scheduling your intense projects, right? And so understanding your energy rhythms will allow you to better manage your time more effectively and actually follow through on what you set to do. It's one thing to schedule your time and to have time blocks. It's another thing to actually do them, right? And doing them requires the energy and the focus. And so that is the biggest reframe that I find to be really transformative for so many people because they've never thought about time management in that way, right? Like, how do I actually make sure I not just have the time, but I also have the energy and the capacity for it? So that's like point number one.
Thank you. Thank you. So, especially when we're going older,
Yeah.
the energy seems to be going downward
Yep.
every day. Um, so creative energy also, I mean, all energy, creative energy kind of affects us when we are writing, for instance. And then you get to a point where you are stuck with writer's block. You just can't move forward.
Oh, I've been there.
You just can't move forward. I know you've touched on that earlier on because if you know when you are in full capacity, that is when you should put your creative work. But if in the odd moments you find yourself doing it when you are not physically in that space, what do you suggest? What other things can we do to get us in the rhythm again? Should we just abandon it completely? Or should what can we do? I know I have something that I do. I go for walks.
Oh, I love that. I was literally going to suggest
Oh,
that.
you like
Yes.
that? Okay. Because
Okay, pop off. So I love what I love about your question is what are some tactics that we could do or do we just kind of give up, right? And
yeah,
I want to pause on the words give up. Sometimes listening to our body, listening to our brain, and readjusting and tackling your creative project at a time when you feel more capable of doing so, I don't think that's giving up. I think that's pivoting. And I think that's actually listening to your brain and body. And I think that's actually making your life easier down the road. So I just want to caution against using the words give up in those moments because maybe we're not actually giving up. Maybe we're realigning, right? And
okay.
that's allowed. That is
That's another one.
okay, you know? So, and it's such, we always think, and that actually goes back to this belief of what we believe productivity is, right? It feels like we're giving up because if we're not hustling, if we're not being busy, if we're not constantly doing, then maybe we're not successful. And so that's why reframing productivity matters so much. So that way we don't view these moments of, being human as a reason for failing, right? We need to reframe that because that's definitely holding all of us back. And I've been there so many times. I catch
Me
myself
too.
so often. Oh, and we should. That's the human brain, right? And I think the challenge is definitely noticing in the moment that we're doing it to ourselves. Right. And
Yeah.
so when we are in these moments of writer's block or we just cannot get ourselves to do what we're trying to do, I always like to just switch up my environment. Leave your desk, leave your workspace, leave your laptop, Go for a walk. That's one of my favorite things to do. I am very fortunate. I live in Los Angeles, California, so it's constantly sunny. I mean, it
Mhm.
is almost 90 degrees today at the beginning of March. So I am very fortunate. I will say though, I'm actually moving to Chicago in a couple of weeks and
Mhm.
I will not have sunny weather
Oh, yeah.
all year. Yeah. So that's going to be a pivot for me that I'm going to have to figure out some new tactics, right? And that's okay because luckily I actually have some other ones under my belt. And so some things that I will often do, and this may sound so silly, but I will literally get up and do jumping jacks. And
Oh,
like
okay.
I'll just move my body and just like kind of make myself out of breath for like 10, 15 seconds. And it totally reorients your brain. I don't
Yeah.
know what scientifically something happens inside our bodies when we do that, when we just like do a big kind of "Wah," and just like really get it all out there. It kind of releases. It's this physical like release. And that can feel really good. And it can just allow you to get silly and come back to it with a different frame of mind, right?
Mhm.
Stretching, reading, listening to your favorite song, listening to your favorite podcast, right? There are things that we can do to kind of shift our focus away from the project for a little bit. Oftentimes when we get stuck, we're a little too focused. We're kind of limiting ourselves because we want one certain path to work out. And if that one certain path is not working out, it's just not working out and we get really frustrated. So sometimes we need to step back, step away for a little bit, move our body, get a little silly, get ourselves out of that frustration, and then come back to it after a break, right? And I typically at least will give it like 5 minutes at
Yeah.
minimum, right? And let's say we come back to it and we're still not feeling it. That's okay. You're allowed to have an ebb and flow. You're not supposed to be on all day, every day, right?
Yeah.
So maybe that's a time when you say, okay, tomorrow, I know I'm going to have the most energy in the morning, just looking at my energy rhythm this week. So I'm going to set this aside for tomorrow. In fact, I'm going to go add it to my calendar. So that way I know I'm going to have not just the time, but also the energy for it. Right. And so
Yeah.
that's how you can be proactive about pivoting instead of just saying like, oh, not today. I'm giving up today and we're done. Make a little plan. That way, you know, you're following through. You know that you're being intentional.
Hmm. Thank you. So, following up on that, what does
Yeah.
sustainable productivity look like in real life? Because you get started, how do you keep it going?
Yes. So sustainable productivity, and again, going back to the concept of productivity is personal, right? So it is going to look different in different phases of your life. So let's just kind of use me as an example, right? I am at a phase of
Yeah.
my life right now where I do not have kids. I live with my fiance and we have our little dog and she's basically my child. And so in the grand scheme of things, I have
Mhm.
a lot more availability than if I look at my brother, right? He has 3 kids
Mm.
and 2 dogs and, you know, so he has a lot less time than I
Like,
do, right? Literally, if we're looking at like how the day actually goes.
yeah.
So sustainable productivity is going to look different throughout your different phases of your life. And it's supposed to, right? So I just wanted to make that one call out first and foremost. It's supposed to change. Secondly, really what sustainable productivity, it's a feeling ultimately. And that feeling is at the end of your work days, during your weekends. Do you feel like you can go and have a life that you can shut work off of your brain and you can actually be fully present in your hobbies, in your family, in your health, in your physical and emotional health, and all of the things that make us human, right? That to me is what sustainable productivity is supposed to feel like. Because when we are pushing ourselves to hustle constantly and just focus on getting as much done as possible, we stop focusing on us. And why work if we don't live?
No.
Right? It doesn't really make sense. And I think I think COVID really changed the game, number one, and made people see that there is a different way to be productive. We do not have to be in the office from 9 to 5, 5 days a week. And honestly, my dad did a lot more than that when I was growing up. Right.
Mm.
And And I'm going to be honest, my parents ended up getting divorced because they lost their connection. And you could say there's a lot of reasons that happened, but my dad's work schedule was definitely one of them. And so it really does matter, right? It may not feel like it in the day in and day out, but when you look back and you see the thread of not having enough energy to show up at dinner or not even making it to dinner or whatever it may be, then you'll realize like, yeah, work, it matters, but it shouldn't overtake life, right? And so how can I work more sustainably? And how can I apply that sustainability into things that I need to be productive in my personal life, like chores, kids, school, all the things, right? So
Yeah.
that's really how I look at sustainable productivity and like that feeling of actually feeling like you can not just get your work done, but also have time and space for everything else.
So where can this audience find you and what do they hope to get when they come to you?
Ooh, yes. So you can find me at theproductivityflow.com and I have several options for you. So if you're looking for some more insight, free resources, definitely check out my blog. I have a ton of blogs and freebies within that. And if you are looking for some coaching, then check out my coaching page and book a free call where we can talk about it, see what that works. Or if you are kind of curious about coaching, but not quite ready, then join my free community. And I go live every week. We can chat. You can kind of get basically some free coaching and see how it goes, and we can take it from there. So definitely you can find all of that at theproductivityflow.com.
Thank you so much for coming to the show, Emily.
Well, thank you. I loved your questions because they are questions that every single one of us has been asking ourselves. So thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming and sharing your wisdom about mindful productivity. I love productivity, but I also believe it's important to have a healthy perspective on what productivity really means and what it doesn't mean. And the older we get, the more reason to conserve energy while we manage our responsibilities. This conversation is especially meaningful for women in their midlife era who want to create, write, and publish their first children's book while still managing full and busy lives. So, for months, I've been craving a space to go deeper into writing and publishing children's books in midlife. A place to figure out how to turn the story in your heart into a finished book, to ask questions and to connect with people who get it. At first, I didn't plan to build something like this, but now I can't stop thinking about it. What if there was a space where we could turn ideas and memories into beautiful children's stories, learn the simple steps to write and publish without overwhelm, support each other and stay accountable until the book is finished? Because writing your first book in midlife shouldn't feel lonely or confusing. It should feel possible. A space designed for growth, for support, and real momentum toward writing and publishing your first children's book. Without all the confusion, the burnout, or constant second guessing that sometimes goes with a huge undertaking like this. The more I visualize this, the more I believe this could be something truly meaningful. And here is the honest part. I don't have every piece figured out yet. That is why I want to build it with you, not for you. I want it to reflect exactly what you need as a woman in midlife who has a story worth sharing with the next generation. So here is the ask. If you join as a founding member, you get access and a seriously discounted rate, 50% off, locked in for life, even when the price increases later. And it will. You will help shape the direction from day one, and your insights will help us create something extraordinary. Inside the community, we will focus on things like turning your life experiences into meaningful children's stories, a simple step-by-step path from idea to manuscript and then to published book. Accountability and momentum so your book actually gets finished. No perfection required here. No publishing industry gatekeepers. Just real progress together. We co-create something impactful, intentional, and totally aligned with what matters most to you. Right now, this is just the beginning. The content isn't finished. And some of the best pieces will come straight from you and the founding group. From now through launch, we will brainstorm, refine, and bring this whole thing to life, working side by side. If you are in and want to be part of this great community from the start, DM me with the word ready and I will send you the scoop. I'm so grateful to be in this community and I can't wait to build something epic with you. Thanks for tuning in to the Minute Mastery Podcast. If you found this episode helpful, please share it with someone who could use more time in their day. And remember to subscribe, check out the links in this episode show notes, and leave us a review. Until next time, you are in control of your time and you've got this.